Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about an unsolved missing persons case, and it's actually a very famous case and the details of it are very disturbing, so I just want to jump right into it and let me know your thoughts because I will be talking about theories at the end of this video. Karlie Gusé was a 16-year-old girl from California. She had lived with her father Zachary Guse and her stepmother Melissa Guse. Karlie's parents had gotten a divorce when she was only a toddler. Karlie was originally living with her biological mother, but Karlie's mother had decided that she wanted to move to Nevada, and this was not what Karlie wanted to do, so she just decided that she would be moving in with her father, Zachary Guse. According to people closest to Karlie, Karlie had an amazing childhood and she was adjusting fairly well to the new living situation, which most kids really struggle to do so, especially because she was only a teenager when she had to do this sudden move. However, leading up to Karlie's disappearance, one of her friends would state that she was having episodes. For some reason, Karlie was terrified that somebody had been tracking her, specifically through her cell phone. Clearly, nobody knows exactly why Karlie had thought this. On Friday, October 12th, 2018, Karlie asked her parents if she would be able to go to a high school football game. Her parents said that she can go, but sadly, Karlie never made it to that football game. Instead, she went to a house party with her boyfriend Donald. Later in the evening at about 8 p.m., Karlie's mother Lindsay called asking if she needed a ride home from the football game. At first, Karlie said no, and that she would be getting a ride home with her boyfriend. But later, things took a dramatic turn. While everyone was enjoying their time at the party, for some unknown reason, Karlie began to get very frantic. She started panicking and became almost impossible to console. According to her boyfriend Donald, he stated that she got scared of the music. She got scared of me. Something scared Karlie so bad that she no longer cared about pretending that she was at a high school football game. Karlie had called her stepmother less than an hour later and asked if she can come pick her up from the trailer park, stating, "Hurry up, I changed my mind, come get me. I'm booking it down Dixon Lane, hurry, 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 I'm scared." Melissa obviously agreed to pick up Karlie, and Karlie confessed to her about going to a party instead of a football game. Melissa stated that while on her way to get Karlie, Karlie refused to get off the phone and how she wanted to get picked up immediately. But when Melissa arrived to the trailer park, Karlie was nowhere to be seen. Melissa continued to drive around looking for Karlie, and that's when she saw a faint light coming towards her. It was Karlie. She was using her cell phone's flashlight to guide her to Melissa's car while running toward it. Karlie was completely hysterical, and according to Melissa, she looked just super pale, almost like a ghost. Her pupils were also very dilated. And even though Karlie was in the car, she was still in a serious state of panic. Karlie began jumping seat to seat, concerned that somehow the car might possibly kill her, and frantically repeating over and over again that she was scared. Melissa stated to the police that Karlie had confessed to her that she had smoked a substance at the party and that it made her excessively paranoid and on edge even after they arrived home. It took Melissa nearly 15 minutes to calm Karlie down. Melissa unfortunately did not feel the need to take Karlie to the hospital because she believed at the time that Karlie was in no immediate physical danger. Melissa stated that she just thought Karlie was having a bad reaction to the substance that she took at the party. What's even more disturbing is that when Karlie's father got home from work, Karlie began huddling in the corner and acted afraid of both of him and Melissa, but then in the next minute she would say how much she loved them, and allegedly her father stated that Karlie was particularly afraid of her phone and her parents being around her. Both Melissa and Karlie's father kept asking her what was wrong, but she kept replying that she didn't know. Karlie then began to beg Melissa to spend the night with her, wanting to paint her toenails, color, and read the Bible. The situation was very intense, and Karlie would be fine one moment but then would fall right into a state of paranoia. At some point during the night, Melissa secretly took out her cell phone to secretly record Karlie. Allegedly, Melissa had thought this would be a great teaching moment to show Karlie what she was like on substances and to let her know that she probably should never be taking substances ever again.
Melissa, do you want to take a shower? Think it'll make you feel better? No? You're gonna kill me. Karlie, listen to what you just said to me. What? You said you're going to kill me. Don't kill me. Why would I kill you? That's preposterous. That's ridiculous. I'm eating the devil's lettuce. You're eating lettuce that I just freshly chopped that I bought from the grocery store. I don't know why. I'm just why you would think it's the devil's lettuce? Because I'm just thinking all these demonic stuff and I can't help it. You're okay. You wouldn't call them? Why are you looking like that? Well, you just said you wouldn't. Would you call them? 911? If for what reason? If there was an emergency? If there was an emergency, yes, I would always call 911. Yeah. Why are you scaring me? I don't know. Just don't look at my face. I have to look at you. No, you don't. Is it because I'm ugly? No, you're not. You're beautiful. You're not ugly.
However, this was not the first time that Karlie dealt with substances. Karlie had gotten suspended from school for using this particular substance and had to attend counseling as well as go to an alternative school. What's also odd is that Melissa stated that Karlie had been writing on a piece of paper. Whatever Karlie wrote in that paper is a complete mystery. While Melissa was trying to calm Karlie down, Melissa was also texting Karlie's boyfriend. And Karlie's boyfriend seemed to be very deeply concerned about his girlfriend's well-being. But there also seems to be a very suspicious text that many people in the media stated that was very weird for Melissa to send. So I'm just gonna read it to you. She stated at about 1:27 a.m., "Please pray." Now, I'm not exactly sure why this caused so much controversy in the media, but a lot of people in this case who heard this case were blaming Melissa for what happened to Karlie, and we're going to find out why. Now, at this point, Melissa's story gets very confusing, so stay with me. At first, Melissa stated that she had put Karlie to bed and spent the night in her own room. When she went back to check on Karlie and her brothers, which was around 5:45 a.m., she said that everyone was present and were all asleep. But when she checked again at 7:45 a.m., Karlie was gone. Odd about this is that Melissa changed her story and claimed she spent the entire night with Karlie to make sure she was safe and comfortable. She stated that the last time she saw Karlie was at around 5:45 a.m. when she was beside her bed. She also noted that at that time, Karlie was still wide awake. Then Melissa claimed that she had awoken at around 7:15 to 7:30 a.m. and Karlie was gone. The front door was wide open at the residence and a singular footprint found on the driveway, which was believed to belong to Karlie. Obviously, people were very concerned about Melissa changing her story because she is the last person to see Karlie alive. A lot of people think that Melissa had something to do with Karlie's disappearance, or she knows more than what she's leading on. I would say that the changing of the stories is very suspicious, but then again, a lot of times when things like this happen, when people go missing, at first it can seem like a blur, at least from a lot of the missing person stories that I've heard. A lot of people tend to forget little minor details, but at the same time, to at first say that you weren't in the room with her and then to then change the story that you were in the room with her, that is a huge detail. That is not something super minor. So it does raise a lot of red flags for a lot of people, and including myself when I first heard this case. Upon discovering Karlie's disappearance, both Melissa and Karlie's father thought that maybe Karlie had just went for a walk to try and cool off after the rough night that she had. But then the panic began to set in for the pair because they then remembered her mental state that she was in, and they thought that maybe she could still possibly be in this mental state just walking around, wandering, and maybe somebody might possibly find her and do something to her. So when they began to search for Karlie, they struggled to find any traces of her. So Guse called Lindsay, which was Karlie's mother, to let her know that Karlie was gone. According to Lindsay, this call just did not sit right with her. She stated that at 9:35 a.m. on Saturday, October 13th, I was notified by her father, my husband, that she was gone. Gone to me is a huge red flag, and it never sat easily with me. This is a very interesting detail in the case because, again, with a lot of missing and unsolved cases, a lot of people tend to look at the people closest to the person. When people use past tense words, it's almost as if, how do you know that? But then again, it could have meant, possibly, it could have meant that she's gone, like she cannot be found. But I get it, because Lindsay is a worrying mother. She left Karlie in the care of her father, and now she's nowhere to be found. So I can understand why Karlie's mother is concerned about that particular word, gone. Karlie's father then got in contact with the police department and reported her missing. What's even more alarming is that both Melissa and Karlie's father noticed that Karlie's cell phone was still at home, which was just not like her. Karlie always took her phone with her everywhere, like every teenager does. This detail to me did not particularly stick out because the night before, Karlie was very afraid of her cell phone. She thought that somebody might have been tracking her in the days leading up to her disappearance, and she told Melissa several times that she was just scared of the cell phone. It doesn't seem likely that she would just take her cell phone with her in this particular moment, especially because she was in such a paranoid state. Karlie's boyfriend Donald also came over the house after he was notified about Karlie's disappearance. According to Donald, he had a very specific detail about Karlie's cell phone. He stated that Karlie's cell phone was right by her bedside. But then Melissa stated that the cell phone was on the island in the kitchen the entire time. It seems that this is a pattern for Melissa, and it's kind of hard for people to not zero in on her as a possible suspect. Once police began their investigation, they uncovered 3 separate witnesses who seen someone matching Karlie's description. Allegedly, these witnesses seen someone who looked like Karlie walking through the neighborhood in the early hours of October 13th. According to the police, the witnesses are very credible and they have absolutely no reason to doubt them. One of the witnesses was an educator, another was a retired law enforcement officer, and the final witness was a wooder. One of the witnesses was actually Karlie's neighbor, and he stated that he saw Karlie walking by at around 6:30 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. He also mentioned that something did not seem right about Karlie. He stated that she was looking up, looking around at the sky, with a piece of paper in her hand. The other witnesses claimed that they also saw Karlie walking around with a piece of paper in her hand. Karlie's family began to speculate that the piece of paper that she was seen walking with might have something to do with the counseling sessions that Karlie had been attending before her disappearances. Allegedly, the witness who was the wooder had saw Karlie at the corner of Highway 6, which was about a mile away from her home. According to this witness, she was mysteriously standing on the inside of a barbed wire fence at around 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Another disturbing detail of this case is that Melissa had stated that the last pieces of clothing Karlie was wearing were a t-shirt and skinny jeans. However, once eyewitnesses had came forward, she then changed her story and stated that Karlie was actually wearing gray sweatpants. She then later stated that the actual last time she saw Karlie, she was wearing a t-shirt and undergarments. She was unsure if gray pants or skinny jeans were missing from Karlie's wardrobe, stating that Karlie had way too many clothes to tell. Again, this is a pattern. It seems that Melissa has been saying different things within this particular case, but then again, it could just be that there was so much going on during that one night where Karlie was freaking out, paranoia, just very erratic. She just possibly could not remember the details of the case. Despite authorities searching, 16-year-old Karlie Guse is still missing. The case garnered mass media attention and people began pointing the finger at Melissa. Many theories have become super popular in this case, so let's go over them. One of the most popular theories is that Melissa accidentally caused Karlie's death by poorly handling Karlie's mental state and not calling 911 or taking her to the hospital. The evidence used to support this story is the fact that Melissa changed her story multiple times, and allegedly there are claims stating that Melissa had her car detailed after Karlie's disappearance, which led to more theories. People also stated that Melissa never questioned what happened to Karlie and rarely ever asked for Karlie to come home. This is just not true. Melissa, and along with Karlie's father, actually spoke at a press conference begging her to come home. When cases like this happen, a lot of times people who are not in the situation like to point fingers and talk when there isn't, all the evidence is not there. We only know what the media has said and what they have put out there. We have to remember that yes, Karlie was in a state of panic during that time, and maybe Melissa didn't know what to do. Would it have been better if she called for help and called 911? Of course. But to sit there and to almost do a witch hunt on Melissa and blame her, there's no physical evidence to say that Melissa possibly did something to Karlie. It's just very cruel, especially if Melissa actually didn't do anything to Karlie. The second theory is that Karlie might have called a certain hotline for people who are struggling with their mental health just weeks before vanishing. Apparently, according to a text that Karlie sent to her boyfriend at around 10:15 p.m., her substance had possibly been laced. And maybe Karlie was experiencing such intense paranoia from the night before, she walked off and maybe decided to do something that she might regret. Now, this particular theory doesn't really resonate with me. I don't think that there's enough evidence to say that possibly Karlie did something to end her life. I do think that she was dealing with something mentally, and something was deeply going on with her before she disappeared, and she didn't tell anyone, so nobody would ever really know exactly what was going through her head. And maybe the substances made it even more worse. So we can only just assume what was going on. Do I think that Karlie may have been struggling with mental health? Of course, but I don't believe that she went to go unalive herself and just walked out of the door and did that. A disturbing detail of this case is that Karlie's boyfriend stated on a Facebook post that he and Karlie were actually walking back to his house when she began acting frantic. He stated that she scared me and I tried to calm her down, but she walked off, and that he wished he walked after her that night. In another eerily comment, he also stated that there was no party the night that she disappeared. This conflicts with many news articles, as well as Melissa and Lindsay's story that she was at a party that night. Donald initially talked to the family of Karlie. He stated that she had gotten scared of the music. So why is there a sudden change in the story? This was said only 10 days after Karlie vanished, so I wonder what made Donald change his story. The final theory of this case is that since the last witness saw Karlie near Highway 6, which is a known route for truck drivers, maybe someone who had evil intentions saw a young vulnerable girl and decided to pick her up. Apparently, police did recover footprints on the highway that belonged to Karlie, but there was no viable path that could be formed. Karlie was still suffering from her confused mental state from the night before. It would not have been difficult for someone to have taken her. I feel like it is the most likely theory. Witnesses saying that they saw Karlie near the highway, to me this theory is the most plausible, just because the last witness did see her near Highway 6. And it wouldn't have been hard for anybody to see a young vulnerable girl, especially because she was in such a frantic mental state, to have easily taken her without anybody seeing. Unfortunately, this case is still unsolved, and regardless of how Karlie disappeared, there are still people searching for her and hoping that she makes her way back home safely. Let me know if you guys heard of this case. Leave your comments down below. I mean, what are your theories? Do you guys have different theories? There were so many different theories in this case. A lot of them didn't make sense, but there's also a lot of controversy with this case as well, because a lot of the people who are involved are constantly on particularly on the Facebook app, going back and forth. There's people joining Facebook groups, hate groups for Melissa, then Lindsay. It's just, everything is very crazy with this case, because a lot of people are blaming Melissa and blaming her for Karlie leaving the residence. And like I said throughout the entire video, I can understand the frustration, of course, because it is very frustrating to know that this young girl was struggling deeply with being paranoid and thinking something was going to happen to her, and she ends up leaving the home with no one noticing. Everything about it is just very upsetting, very frustrating, but all we can do is hope that there will be some type of evidence that comes up for Karlie, and hopefully she'll be brought back home safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please like and subscribe, and have a good one, guys.